I do still want to push it back a little bit, just as a devil's advocate a little bit, right? Which is that in that case, from people who put out the message, if we're saying that toxic positivity is an overabundance of all these positive messages, just follow these 3 steps to a more positive mindset, then is there a role or responsibility in people, say from such as yourself, for example, in the wellbeing space, is there a need for you to be able to also share messages of saying, if you're feeling sad, this is a message just to say it's okay to feel sad. If you're feeling angry, go feel angry, and sort of balance, and not then adding onto it straight away, now meditate and you'll feel better, like trying to short circuit it. Just kind of going, if this is the stage that you're in, sit in that stage, acknowledge it, feel it, it's okay. Do you think that we should be in some ways sharing some more of those type of messages as well?
Yes and no. So the first thing is, when people put out a message, I think it's really important not to say, this is what works. Do this and you'll feel $1 million, because when people do it and they don't, they think there's something wrong with them. And, there's no solution that I bring to, anybody or any client saying that's the thing that's going to work for you. It's, coaching is a lot of, with experience, you start getting an idea for what works for this type of people or this type of people. But there's always an element where we need to try maybe 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things before we find, and maybe sometimes it's a combination. Maybe sometimes we create a brand new sort of tool for that specific person. So I think the message to say, hey, this is what has worked for me. This is what I've worked for some of my clients. It might not work for you, but if you haven't tried, it might be worth it. But don't be discouraged if it doesn't work for you. That's the first thing. Then with the message of, hey, it's okay, to be sad and to sit in your grief, etc. I think it's a good preamble. I still believe that it needs to be followed with something else, because it's not the right word, but I'm going to use that word. The sitting in the grief is not the final solution. It's more one of the steps. And if you say to somebody, it's okay to feel down and, sit in your grief, then and that's all you say to them, what do they do after that? Because sometimes sitting in the grief doesn't give you the solution. It just allows you to give yourself a rest. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it just, go away by itself. Sometimes it appeases you and you face it and you're like, right, what I really need to work on it, and it will give you a solution, but sometimes it doesn't. And you want people to be able to go somewhere from there. The thing with emotions is the problem is not about having the emotions, is what do you make it mean when you have that emotion? Some people berate themselves for feeling angry. So what do you make it mean, and how long do you stay in it, and what do you do with it? Do you chew on it, or do you sit down and have a conversation with it? It's almost like, okay, anger, come up. You're up. What's your deal, anger? What's going on right there?